Welcome back to Video Game Vibes. I am your wonderful boy, Grog from Grog Games, aka Super Potion. I am here with my sweet lad, PatriotJax, wearing a Kirby hat. Jax, say hello to the pod.
I tip my hat to you, everyone. How are you doing on this fine Sunday evening? I'm having a really good day. Really good day.
Good.
My baby boy's walking around now. Like he's.
Is
I don't know
he?
if you still
Oh my
call him a
gosh.
baby, but he's walking around now. He got legs, and he moves fast, and yeah, that's tiring.
Did you have to like baby-proof some of like the corners of tables and stuff? You gotta get like foam or something. How do you
There's
baby-proof?
like these like silicon or like plasticky things that just they cover the corners and that. We have to like, obviously locks on all the cupboards and stuff now, especially because he's got so much agency. He just wanders around like, going, oh, what does this do? Oh, this knife looks cool. I'm joking.
What's this up there? No, can't even imagine. Yeah, so you must be exhausted. I don't blame you.
How are you doing? How's the lawn? Come on, guys. We're on a lawn update.
I mowed today, and it was good. And it was fine. And I woke up from a text from my neighbor saying, "Hey, can I steal some of your plants?" And I said, "Absolutely, you can." And then she was like, "Hey, why don't you meet all the, like in August sometime, in fall sometime, you should meet all the gardening people, and we can maybe figure out a way to help you." And I was like, well, I don't know whether to be insulted or like pleased, I guess.
You're on like phone number terms with your neighbours?
Not on purpose.
Oh, okay.
I have one of my. I have the neighbor next to me. I have his phone number, which is normal because we just text each other if our power's out. Like my power went out this like last week, and he's like, "Is your power out?" And I'm like, "Yes, unfortunately it is." And that was the end of our conversation.
Okay.
But
Just
this
curious,
other neighbor, she's like middle-aged, older or whatever, and she seemed pretty nice, but at the same time it's coming off as like semi, negative, or maybe I'm just taking it that way, but she's like, wow, this lawn's a lot, blah, 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 blah. Like, well, yeah, not retired. I don't just garden all the time. I have a full-time job. I have a secondary job, which is YouTube and this podcast. I don't got time to do everything. I still garden a little bit. Like I said, I mowed the lawn this morning. I still do it a tiny bit, but yeah, I don't have time for it because my literal yard is filled with plants everywhere. It's like a jungle out there.
We had a lot of plants and stuff. Then my wife was the gardener, not me. And so the time that we had before the baby, we would manage to manage it well, and then once the baby came along, like basically 2 trees in our front garden that I've now cut down died because we just didn't have any time to like. I mean, trees generally would take care of themselves, but they both died. So what can you do? Good lawn update.
That's what I thought too. I was like, trees take care of themselves. Like I have a crabapple tree, and when we moved in, another old lady that we bought the house from was like, you got to spray the crabapple tree every year to make sure that it's fine. And I'm like, but it's a tree. Shouldn't it just be like a tree? Like it should be okay by itself, right?
Is that like
Maybe
Mrs. Crabapple?
They're like little hard
Mrs. Crabapple? Sorry. There's a nice Simpsons deep cut.
For those of you Simpsons fans out there.
Moving swiftly on, I want to talk about the Steamdeck because I got one finally. So
yeah,
I had my birthday a little while ago, last month, which I saved some money and people gave me some, and I was able to get a Steamdeck. However, unfortunately, I planned on getting one during the summer sale because they were reduced in price. Yeah. They were all sold out, which was frustrating, which meant that I could only get one. They were out of stock for a little while as well, so I just picked up whatever one was available for the UK shipping and whatever, and it was the 256 gigabyte one, so the medium version.
Okay.
And do you know what? Like, I've got it here for you guys.
Yes.
You know, listeners. I'm holding up a Steam Deck basically, and it is a beefy boy. You see that?
Huge, actually.
Right. Okay. And just while I've got it up here, I'm really happy with it. To be fair, like it looks so good, like crispy. Looks really good to like play with, like Elden Ring and whatever. I got Elden Ring down on there. Oh yeah, there's Elden Ring is Steam Deck approved because it's awesome. I don't get why they did the buttons like this. Like, a bit more light. Yeah, there we go. I don't get.
Those of you
there's Grog.
Who don't see. Oh, hey, it's me. What's up?
I don't get.
Buttons are like on the top.
They're right at the top, and like this one's almost coming off like the side. The B button's almost. Why? Like the Switch in terms of comfort. Forgetting the size, it just makes more sense that one of the analogs, the right analog, is lower, and the directional pad over here, like, because basically when I have to use the directional pad or this button, which is usually like a map button, it's quite like I have to like stop essentially, like it's just a tad awkward. It's not the end of the world.
It looks strange.
It's huge, and can I put what have I got on here? I'm just turning it on to show you Elden Ring.
Ooh, nice.
I made it to the mountain area.
Oh, we're in the same spot.
Hey, look at that.
Bill.
We still haven't played Elden Ring together after all this time. Like playing it is great. Like I said, the control, the button design and where it is just a bit odd to me. I know they have like the mouse, like essentially like the mouse cursor, mouse pad bits there, which is okay, fair enough. But there was the whole thing about like Steam Deck approved games and stuff like that, and I was looking up for a while, and people were basically just saying, if there's a game that's not Steam Deck approved, just try it, and if you think control wise it can work, just give it a go. So there's quite a few that I've just downloaded, and I'm going to see non-Steam Deck approved games if they work. I think I tried Resident Evil 5 because I already had that, and that said it was. I think there's like sort of three things. It's either Steam Deck approved, some features might not work as they should, and then non-Steam Deck approved, or we haven't tested it basically.
Okay, so this is interesting because I didn't even know this. I knew there were Steam Deck approved games, but I didn't even know you had the capability of downloading any game you own to the Steam Deck. I thought it had to have some kind of like software regulation in the background, or for having to be programmed in or something. Because like you can't normally go to like straight from like a computer to a handheld, even though I guess the Steam Deck is more so just a portable computer compared to like past consoles and stuff. That's probably why it's capable of doing that, right?
I wanted to really test it, so I downloaded Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe, which is like a tycoon simulator. So a game that you would definitely play with like the mouse pad and stuff. And so I started it, and it's not straightforward with that because it was a non-Steam Deck approved game or whatever. Yeah. But it's still playable. Like I can still, if I really want to, I can still do what I want to do. It's not perfect by any stretch, but it's still doable. And I think that's just, if you do get one, you just got to, if there's a game you're thinking, I really want to play that on the Steam Deck, like try it out. Like try and find a way to do it. And I don't know if it's like mods or like there are solutions to specific games that people tell you about online, like, oh, if you change this setting in the game it will sort you out, or if you change the controls or whatever, it works out really well. So so just because a game isn't Steam Deck approved does not mean you can't play it on there. And when I found that out, I was so happy. And I haven't even gotten into emulation on there, because you can emulate like a lot on this thing.
Have you tried any like online games? Or I was gonna say, like, there's some free MMOs you can play on Steam. I wonder how that would work with it.
I mean, I was thinking, do you mean like an MMO rather than? Because you said online. I was contemplating downloading CS:GO because I wanted to shoot
Oh no.
on the Steam Deck. And I was like, oh, I could just download CSGO. I honestly don't know. Maybe I should download Genshin again. It's been a while. Maybe I should try Genshin on the Steam Deck.
I wonder how it's going to be with like a lot of players like an MMO, or I guess like I don't know, I guess just like matchmaking capabilities, or like how stable it is online, if it's any different from your PC.
I'm curious actually. I haven't. To be fair, the main thing I've played on there is just Elden Ring and Devil May Cry 5, both of which look phenomenal. Like they look so good, and like I'm not slighting the Switch when I'm saying that, because just in terms of comfort, the Switch is not because of its size, but because of where they've decided to put the buttons and stuff. Switch just makes so much more sense. That's the only real gripe I have with it right now. And I say there's so much more I want to do and explore, like emulated games and stuff like that with it. But at the moment, I would absolutely recommend it to anyone who can afford it, because it's not cheap. I luckily got enough money; I was able to get one.
Yeah, it was like $100 off for the sale or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like 10% for the smallest, the 64 gig, and then like 15% for the one that I got, and then 20% for the more expensive one.
Yeah, that might have been what I saw. I just saw it was like, normally I think for us Americans $500, and then it was like at $400 on sale.
But one thing I didn't even consider, and I don't know if I'll ever do it, but it kind of makes me in a way kind of excited, because I don't have any consoles in like my front room, and obviously I got a massive telly in there, and I don't have big TVs in here.
Naturally.
But obviously you can get a dock with the Steam Deck like you can with the Switch, so if you wanted to, I could be playing Elden Ring in my living room, which I think is kind of a cool thing to sort of think about if I wanted to do that in the future. Or if I wanted to play, I don't know, like a multiplayer game, or like a co-op with someone, because you can just get like you can Bluetooth, depending on the dock you get, you can Bluetooth a couple of controllers, and obviously if it's docked, you play it on there, and you can play it like a console, basically.
Okay. And I'm assuming only the Steam controller you can use, right?
No.
You can use regular Xbox controllers and stuff?
I think to an extent you can, yeah. I think it's...
Oh!
The flexibility with the thing, I think, is what's really appealing to me. And some of this stuff I didn't know before I got it as well. I wanted essentially a handheld PC library, which is what it is. But there's a lot more, what I call leniency towards things, and like flexibility that you don't necessarily assume you can do.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I thought they would have branded it where, like, for sure. I mean, obviously with games, when it says controller support, you can use PS controller, Xbox controller. But with the Steam Deck itself, I would have assumed that they somehow made it so only their own controllers work on it, just because that's what a lot of corporations do and stuff like that.
True, but I think that their controllers, if I'm right in saying, I don't think they sold very well when they first kind of came out.
Oh, you think they're just taking a step back from it?
I think they're just like,
avoid. Don't want any Logitech submarine accidents with the Steam controller.
Oh my god, they've done well. That's really that's good. They've done really well to sort of enter the handheld market with this thing, because obviously everyone's going to try and copy the Switch. I personally want to see Sony bring back like a souped up version of the PSP, because that was one of the most underrated consoles, handhelds of all time, in my opinion.
I was about to ask you, like, was it the PS Vita which was the last handheld by Sony?
I think so. Yeah, the Vita. Yeah, that was good.
That was a while ago too.
It was a long time. They just decided it wasn't worth it. I'm guessing that was because of the emergence of mobile gaming. But I think the Switch has just kind of thrown everything up in the air with how well it sold, and you know.
And just, I mean, we don't have to talk about it for long because I don't even think we have a lot of detail on it. But didn't they announce next year we're getting a new system for Nintendo?
Switch 2, the Switch 2.
Is that what it's called?
Reportedly going to release in the second half of 2024. Reportedly.
I mean,
it kind of makes sense.
How do you feel about that? I mean, I guess it's time because the Switch is old compared to its competitors.
I am. I'm not as like a lot of people are like, oh, they should have got like the better graphics and stuff. They should have done this ages ago and whatever. I don't know. For me, it's kind of like it makes sense. Like the console started with Breath of the Wild, and it's finishing with Tears of the Kingdom, which I think is kind of like nice. Obviously, Mario will be the flagship first game for the Switch 2 or whatever they call it. I think what they'll do, I think they'll basically keep it very similar, but they will, I imagine, the criticism and the graphics and stuff, they will soup it up, so that it's somewhat like more visually appealing. Because the Switch itself, aside from Joy-Con drift, which they better sort out.
Oh my god, I can't even. My
know.
Joy-Cons are still drifting right now. I bought a controller because I didn't want to buy Joy-Cons, because two Joy-Cons are like $100 pretty much. Like it's like $40 per Joy-Con.
Don't get me wrong, like Nintendo are like uber greedy, like as a corporation and stuff. The like the fact that they just don't drop prices of games on the Switch like barely at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, like how they've like not really created a fix for Joy-Cons as far as I'm aware. Like stuff that I've tried online, most of the time it doesn't work. I think you can send it back. I don't know. It's for me that's like a fundamental problem with the console, because I'm pretty sure they got sued about the Joy-Cons, but I don't think. I don't know what happened about it, but I would imagine I don't think they
obviously nothing, because
they probably I don't think they lost that one. But yeah, if they sort out Joy-Con issues, if that's how they're going with it again, and they improve it graphically, give it more power, give it a better freaking kickstand. Like, Jesus freaking Christ, the original Switch.
Oh yeah, that stupid little plastic thing that...
It's almost like they did that on purpose, because they're like, right, we're going to bring out the OLED that has a proper back to it. You know what I mean? It's almost like they did that on purpose. I think
they were just trying to cut costs, too, to be honest. That's probably why...
How hard is it to just make the whole back stick out? Like, come on, man.
I mean, it's the same idea with, like, why the graphics aren't any better. Like... Because they didn't need to increase the graphics yet. They were trying to extend out for the longest period of time possible.
Because they're like,
we're making money now. Why would we need to make a souped-up console when we're making crazy money in the moment?
But
they just dragged it out.
I do agree with that to an extent. Like they focus on the gameplay and the content itself more so than what the graphics are. And don't get me wrong, I mentioned this before, like I think new gameplay came out for that. Is it like Detective Pikachu game? That literally is it Detective Pikachu, or like there's a new Pokemon game. And I think it was a Detective Pikachu game. Yeah, it was something like that. And and it literally looks like an N64. It looks like Pokemon Stadium like level graphics.
Yes, no, you're right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was Detective Pikachu, and people were like, "What is happening?"
Don't get me wrong, like that is not good enough. Like, do not get me wrong on that. Like, come on, like what are you doing?
I don't.
But
I'm not. I almost put down the Pokemon DLC to talk about, but then I realized I don't care. So we're not going to talk about it.
Are we going to talk about sorry, we're completely going off on a tangent here. Can we just mention Raikou?
I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to mention it.
It literally looks like it's out of Horizon Zero Dawn. It's what is it like is it like a Titan form, or I forget what they call them, like that. It's like a paradox.
I never played Horizon, but I saw a TikTok where some guy was mentioning like Pokemon in regards to alternate forms, and he's like, how are we gonna make this cooler? I know, a longer neck. Like, because they did that with Draft Rig. They did it with the new Legendary. They did it with a couple Executor. Yeah. It's like, let's just give it a longer neck. It's a different form. Stupid.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
It's not done.
Great. I already ranted about this a few episodes ago,
we know you're done with Pokemon. I'm playing Pokemon Violet. I must admit, I did not enjoy the Twitch streamer gym leader at all. That was just... No, I did not enjoy that.
That hit too close to home for you?
Well, no, it was just like... what are we doing? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. What are we doing now,
It did
guys?
feel a bit like that. It was like, what is happening? But, okay,
Why are we here?
This is not what we're talking about.
Jax, let me take your blood pressure here and let's raise it or lower it down. Not raise it. Let's lower it down a cool temperature.
I haven't quit Pokemon.
Let's get cozy. How about?
Oh,
I would
okay.
like to briefly tell you about this new MMO that I am playing, which I have mentioned a couple times on the podcast. It's called Palia. It is a free-to-play. Palia. It's Palia.
I thought I'd make the joke about the Pokemon region.
Paldea. Oh my god. Don't bring it back.
Sorry, carry on.
So sad about Pokemon. Okay.
Palia, you played it, didn't you?
You're going to like this game. When you have free time, I highly recommend. It is currently just on PC right now, but it is coming to the Switch in, they said, holiday 2023. So we're not sure of an exact date yet, but hopefully later by the end of the year before 2024. This is a cozy MMO that I like to describe. I've been describing people as a crossbreed between Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, and Breath of the Wilds. So it's pretty much like a love child for you, Jax, almost. So I've played about 8 hours so far. The open beta just came out on Thursday, so the 10th at the time of this recording. So I haven't had as much time. There was closed betas. I just didn't have time to get into it. But I have about 8 hours in the game or something like that right now. I would say it's pretty good. There is a general storyline that you go through, which it seems like right now the gist of it is like you appeared out of nowhere in this light, and as a human, all the characters are humans, and it's essentially this fantasy-esque world ruled by elves, and you're trying to figure out why the humans went extinct. I think that's the main storyline, but you basically spawn near this village. Everyone's really friendly, and they're like, more humans have been coming out, which I like because it explains all the other humans running around that are the other players. Yeah. Makes sense, right? But it's really cool. You get your own house plot right away. You build your own house. It's got like these huge acres of land. You can roam the world and get resources for crafting. So you can buy furniture and stuff for your house. You can craft stuff for your skills. So there's a bunch of different like gathering skills. I'm trying to remember all of them. There's like fishing, hunting. There's bug catching, which is like Pokemon Arceus, where you throw the Pokeball. They pretty much ripped off that mechanic, like one for one. There's a couple of things they ripped off, but they did it in a classy way where it feels like
you're not that bothered about it.
Yeah, I'm not that bothered about it because I think they did it well enough. But one of the things is there's no PvE or PvP in this game. There's no combat. You don't even have a health bar. There's no fall damage.
Then how is it like Breath of the Wild?
Because it's open world like that. And also they stole the climbing mechanic from Breath of the Wild. There is a stamina bar.
Is there weather-related climbing issues?
Yeah. It's very similar in regards to like how Breath of the Wild you run around and you can like just pick up like crafting material and stuff like that. It's sort of that kind of vibe. But I like it so far. It's really nice. I'm going to put a lot more hours into it and come back to the pod and tell you more about it once I learn. But I think you would enjoy it, and anyone else that likes cozy games should also give it a try.
I mean, it sounds like something I should give a try on my Steamdeck, regardless of approval or not.
Well, it's not on Steam, so...
Oh, where is it?
I don't think you can. You got to go to their website and just sign up with an email address and download the client. But yeah, it's free. They also promised that going forward, it's not going to be pay to play. There is no subscription model or anything, and they said adamantly there never will be. All the money that they're making off the game is going to be by cosmetics, which, to be honest, are expensive, but they're just cosmetics. They don't serve any stat purposes in the game. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's by an indie studio too.
Yeah.
So it's not even like a big corporation doing this. They're just doing it for the love of, a cozy, awesome MMO. So fingers crossed. I want this one to succeed. Really do. Go to Grog Games YouTube for more gameplay in regards to this game. Go subscribe to my channel. Thank you. That's what I want to say about that. But yeah, Jax, you should try it and report back too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want. There's so many big open worlds that I want to. But the Steamdeck might give me the chance to play it.
You can romance the villagers like Stardew Valley.
There's Stardew Valley.
It's very Stardew Valley-esque.
Yeah. Is that where do you think most of its inspiration is? Stardew?
I don't know. Maybe because there is a lot of mechanics. Like there is gift giving. I mean, that's not just Stardew related.
But there's no combat.
There's no combat.
Okay.
At all. The closest to it is there's a hunting skill, and you can shoot a bow and arrow at a deer, and that is the most violence in the game.
Oh, okay. What's its? I need to have a look at it. I was just saying, like, what's its art style, sort of like that?
What it's
not like
it's
like
cartoony-ish, but not. It's sort. Well, I don't want to say Fortnite, but it's along the Fortnite graphics-ish.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But more homely. I guess
less kind of. I was going to say less cartoonish, but you said cartoonish.
Yeah.
But more sort of friendly, sort of looking. More visually tidy, bit more polished than Fortnite.
It's still in closed beta, so there are some bugs. They're still working out everything, but they're actively fixing the game and everything like that.
That's good.
But
sorry, Karen.
Sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, but yeah, I mean we gotta expect that. It's not even officially, out yet per se. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna play it on my free time.
That sounds good. It looks like it's by a company, an indie dev community, an indie dev people that care about the game. Yes. This is a perfect segue to talk about a game where that is entirely not the case. Let's talk about Overwatch 2 and how it has just arrived on Steam. We don't need to go into this for too long, but what I thought would be funny is, and if you aren't aware, Overwatch 2 is basically a money grab, and everything that was good about Overwatch 1, they essentially have just hidden behind paywalls. I must admit, it's one regret I have that I never really got into Overwatch when it first came out. I only played a little bit. I never really got into it because it was like a game of the year, wasn't it? Was it like 2016?
I never got into it either. I've said this before. I just don't play like FPS games. A couple of my friends played it, and like I have it on my desktop. Well, wait, is Overwatch 1 still? Can you play online with it still?
Well, no, they basically they
shut it down.
They shut it down, to say, oh, here's Overwatch 2. It's completely free. It's free, but they hide almost everything behind a paywall and season pass and stuff like that.
Okay, well, first off, that would just tick me off if the $60 game that I paid for Overwatch 1 I just couldn't play anymore. That's absurd. That's just flat out ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the start. And they broke a lot of promises about I think it was PvE and PvP stuff that they were going to do. Loads of stuff basically. So what was an amazing game in Overwatch 1, they have just turned into a money grabbing thing, and I thought it would just be a nice fun idea because it's just dropped on Steam with over 86,000 overwhelmingly negative reviews. I thought it would be fun to just read some of these just to see what people's feelings are at with some of these. So, so this one is, I somehow purchased Overwatch 1 for $40, which Blizzard then deleted and created this predatory microtransaction simulator instead. It's the exact same game, but they removed all the stuff you paid for full price in Overwatch 1.
Right,
you
because
put,
couldn't he play for skins and stuff in Overwatch 1 too?
I could not tell you, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So, apart from the base game, if you spent extra money on Overwatch 1 for skins, which I'm 90% sure was a thing,
So go
imagine
on.
someone that spent like $200 on that game
Mm.
and they just can't even play it anymore.
That does
That's
kind of that.
messed up,
It
dude.
is. That kind of leads into sort of like a wider issue about like digital games, because a lot of people say that you don't own
I've
digital
heard that
games,
before.
like that
I've
that
heard
whole
that
thing,
before.
like because they can decide if they wanted to take it off for one reason or another. I don't know, but it does open sort of a bit of wider discussion about how the companies, if they wanted to, I guess, like Activision Blizzard, which is a great company. Is it Activision Blizzard now, or is it just Blizzard? No, yeah, because Microsoft bought
Uh,
Activision Blizzard.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, so if you played Overwatch 1 at launch, this is not only identical, it's the exact same game. It's the biggest cash grab of the 21st century.
It's
So here
so
we go.
angry.
Yep.
So stupid.
So we got someone here saying the pros of the game. It's free now. There's no BattleNet launcher required. It's
Okay.
truly one of a kind game. Even 7 years later, there's nothing quite like it. The
I don't know about
cons,
that.
the cons. It's well, someone's genuinely. This is not really Overwatch actually. Genuinely, the most garbage community I ever had the displeasure of interacting with. When
Bro.
trying to learn a new hero in quick play or just trying to chill with friends, entire teams will counterpick you and trash talk you constantly when you struggle. Clueless devs in charge of game balance. They will gigabuff characters seemingly at random, make several minor irrelevant tweaks to others, all while characters that desperately need adjustment are ignored for multiple seasons.
Yep, that sounds right.
Overwatch will always be special to me, which is why it's so heartbreaking to see it suffer through greed and mismanagement. You might enjoy the game, but it's no secret that the good days of Overwatch are long gone. Dang. And it's sad because
Hey.
it was like Game of
So,
the Year. Like the original Overwatch was loved by so many people. So to see how they can, like, I don't get where they in their minds they thought that, like, surely
it
they
was
would have
okay to
made,
do this?
surely they would have made more money from the original Overwatch. I mean, obviously that came out a long time ago, but surely they would have made more money just in general from the original Overwatch than they ever will from Overwatch 2, unless they drastically improve the game. You know?
It honestly, and I don't know, I'm just guessing, but it's probably a CEO decision. It's probably one of the higher ups decision just to do it, and they don't know anything about anything. That's what it has to be. Also, one thing that you forgot to mention was like there was supposed to be a campaign in Overwatch 2, and they
Ah,
dropped that. Like that was
oh,
something that
that
everyone
was
was
the big
excited for
thing.
because there
Yeah,
wasn't one in Overwatch 1. It was just like online play and stuff. And there's supposed to be a whole like campaign that you could play through. Like you know how like
dang,
Halo you can play through a campaign, Gears of War. People
that's
were so
rough.
pumped for it. And they were just like, no, we scrapped it. People were furious. I would
And
be
it
furious if I
shows.
were
It,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
it shows. It's basically dead at this point.
Good.
It's close to be like Anthem levels of dead,
Good.
which is, such a shame. It does make it really worse that they basically said, yeah, you can't play the original game that you pay for. Like, you just can't. But hey, here's basically the same game from day one of the original, and it's free. Free.
You
That's so
know,
bad.
I think as I age, and I've said variations of this in the pod, but as I age, I think I'm just like done with competitive play, and I'm also done with companies that aren't transparent about their game. The games that I'm playing right now are MMOs, like I'm playing Palia and I'm playing RuneScape.
Mm,
Both of those companies openly, constantly have their devs talk about the game. Like they do streams and interviews about the game.
yeah.
And like RuneScape is so like obviously RuneScape has its faults. The dev team, I'm not saying they're perfect, but I don't know how much you've seen about the communication with it in general. For any changes, they do polls. Like, people have to vote on it. And yeah, some of the polls are stupid. Some of the polls are stupid. Some of the poll options are dumb. But the point is the community is involved, and
Yeah.
the devs constantly talk and do like live streams about the changes they're making, the changes they have made, why things are like that. People can ask some questions in chat. They have an interview portion. Like this new content just came out for RuneScape. I can't remember. It's like Ruins. Anyway, point, they did a new endgame thing, and they've been doing a lot of live streams about that and like tweaks they're making and balances and what the content is. And before that, being like, this is the lore of that, blah blah blah. I can't even begin to comprehend, as a full grown adult with an adult brain, how you could trust like companies like this, where obviously all the money in regards to the video game company is, all the good money is revolved around like FPS, player versus player games, because that's where it is. That's where the
And
money
like
is.
annual games that come out every year, like COD and FIFA.
Yes.
As like good
Yeah,
examples.
like freaking
Activision
COD.
and EA.
Exactly. That's where the money is, and so because that's where the money is, they're obviously going to be the most unethical about it.
It's because they must know, and it's true to an extent, probably about Call of Duty and FIFA, or what's now EAFC or whatever, is that they know people are going to buy it regardless. And the same applied when you went out and bought Pokemon Scarlet and Violet when that dropped. That's
a nostalgia filter, which I am mostly done with.
I don't even think it's that. It's just like they know that people are so ingrained in these franchises. I guess nostalgia to an extent, but like people are so ingrained, they want to play the next thing, and so they continue to do that. But I just had a thought though. Obviously, Activision Blizzard has just been bought by Microsoft, so I do wonder what kind of influence Microsoft will have on Activision Blizzard, and will it be a positive one? Like, could they bring Overwatch 2 back from its legitimate deadness, its hellscape that it currently is in, with its ridiculously sort of money-hungry aspects and bad player reviews and stuff like that? Like, can Microsoft actually be a force for good in terms of some of the obviously acquisitions that they now have, and can they actually make things better? Because you shouldn't always assume that just because a bigger company has bought out another, like technically a smaller company, that it would be worse. Because with Activision Blizzard, how could it be any worse? Like come on.
I don't.
Could they influence Call of Duty in some way as to bring back? Because just on Call of Duty real quick, they to make a good, like a really really good Call of Duty game again. I'm not saying that the new ones are bad, but by comparison, the fact that a lot of people are now playing, because obviously they sorted out the servers for all of the old Call of Duty games, so people on Xbox Game Pass and people with like old Xbox 360s and that can play the old ones online. Like, I was around my brother's, he's got an Xbox, and he bought Black Ops 2, and we're playing Black Ops 2 like it was like 10 years ago or whatever, or like 15 years ago. I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. And like there's more people playing all of the older versions of their Call of Duty games because the new ones are so bad. So I do hope that Microsoft has some sort of positive sort of like
impact
on some of the games that have really lost their way. Because they know that people are going to buy them, but try making a really good game right off the bat, you know?
I think it's possible. I don't want to cross my fingers or hold my breath or anything, but there are instances of Microsoft doing good. Like, Microsoft owns Minecraft, right?
Yeah, they do.
So, I mean, they've only expanded that universe more. They're making spin-offs of Minecraft, and the game's not ruined, so they didn't shut off Minecraft and make Minecraft 2.
I wonder if they just left the devs to do what they do, but then obviously said, well, what else can we do with the franchise in terms of Minecraft dungeons and story mode and all that sort of stuff. So so maybe they can do something similar with with some of the other terrible franchises.
Yeah. Only time will tell.
Indeed.
Yeah, we'll see, I guess.
Really
quick.
What's your other topic for discussion tonight?
We do. Really quick, we would be, remiss to not mention the upcoming probably game of the year right now, which is Baldur's Gate 3. I am not personally playing it. However, my brother, I talked to him last night. Old Gobs on Grog Games. He's got like 220 hours in it.
Oh, wow.
And he said that some of it, like half of the hours, were from before the game came out in like beta or whatever. But still, 220 is insanity for a game that's new. Yeah. I was on Discord with him last night, and he was basically just like, yeah, this game is my life now, and I keep telling people that, and I don't want to play anything else. So like we were just talking, and normally we're like playing games, and he's just like, we're just playing our own individual games because he doesn't want to stop playing Baldur's Gate, and I don't blame him for that. It looks like I don't normally go for turn-based games, and I think that's probably the only complaint people have had with it. It's not even a complaint. It's turn-based.
Oh, okay.
It's basically D&D in a game.
That's it. Yeah, like that's the big thing that. It's like basically Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a video game. So I'm not a D&D person myself, so I don't have that sort of want to play for it because of that. But it certainly looks like it's showing up a lot of other like AAA studios. Like it was in early access, I think, for quite a long time. Like they spent a lot of time on this game. But obviously it shows because it's got tons of polish, and I do find it funny when one of their adverts for the game is like, there is nothing hidden behind a paywall. There are no microtransactions. Like the fact that we live in a like the video game sphere where putting that on an advert like immediately just makes it better because there are so many corporations that hide microtransactions. Like, you don't find out about it until later, or, you know what I mean? It's just, that's very frustrating. So, Baldur's Gate 3, is doing it right in the eyes of fans and video game players alike.
Yeah.
But what sort of caught my attention, and it was not the, advert with the, the romancing of the bear.
I was situation. Just gonna say, it wasn't that.
There are so. I think it's like the number of like choices and like races that there are, and the amount of spells. Like the game is so huge and so vast, and you can play it in loads and loads of different ways. Yeah, I won't be getting it personally myself because. I'm not a D&D person, but like it has a higher review score than Tears of the Kingdom currently.
Of course it does.
Like, so it is definitely going to be a game of the year. It will likely be, at the minute, Baldur's Gate versus Tears of the Kingdom for game of the year.
No, it's not even. It's not even anything. I'm sorry. Like I'm sure Tears of the Kingdom is amazing, but there's no competition for Baldur's Gate 3 right now. I don't think there's a single competition. People were saying like the new Spider-Man might be game of the year. No, I don't think any game coming out this year is gonna be able to stack up against Baldur's Gate 3. This
does give me Elden Ring vibes in terms of like how Elden Ring, when it came out and how it kind of just blew everyone out of the water, and people were obviously hoping that it wins game of the year over God of War. I feel like it'll be like that this time. I feel like everyone's going to expect Tears of the Kingdom to win, but I think people want Baldur's Gate 3 to do it, and I think that they may well do it.
It's going to. I think it's going to. It's going to have to, because I don't know. They're both great games, obviously, but Baldur's Gate just has way too much complexity, and there's way too much replayability value. Okay, so when like video game reviewers were looking at this game, there was no reviews out right away when the game came out. because the campaign alone is like 120 hours to beat. And that's if you don't do side quests or anything else. You have to
That's
literally just
nuts.
play the main story, and it's 120 hours. You
That's
know
just
how
bonkers.
sidetracked the average player, let alone me, is for a game? It's gonna take me a saga, a lifetime to beat this game. Which is one of the reasons why I haven't gotten it yet, because I'm scared about the amount. Just like, I don't want it to be like way on my head, like, oh my god, the amount of hours I have to put
That's
into
how I
this game.
felt about Elden Ring.
That's my main point.
Like I think the same thing's gonna happen this year that happened with Elden Ring. I think Elden Ring, it was obviously it was from software, but it kind of came out of a little bit came out of the blue, and people weren't expecting it to be so amazing. And this has the same reaction from a
Yeah,
lot of other developers as Elden Ring did. A lot of
I agree.
developers of like, yeah, a lot of AAA developers are like slyly bashing the game and like saying stuff like, "Oh, this shouldn't. This is not the standard. People shouldn't expect this from all the AAA from like normal AAA games stuff like." They said the same sort of stuff about Elden Ring. It's like you shouldn't expect this. This is like a one off and that. Like it gives me the exact same vibes. So I could very easily see it potentially being game of the year.
Let me say this, and I do know it rhymes. Baldur's Gate 3 2023. Let's go, baby.
Oh.
Game of the year. Uh
Got a little thing about Baldur's Gate as well. I played back in the day on the GameCube Baldur's Gate 2 Dark Alliance, or was it just Baldur's Gate Dark
did
Alliance?
you?
On the GameCube, yeah. It was I don't know what the term is for the type of like so you're looking down on your character, but it's
Yeah.
not like top down, it's like sort of angled. I don't know what you call that. I don't know if it's like isometric, but that's how the game
Yeah.
was, and you had a choice of being the the warrior guy, like a dwarven guy, or the girl, and they all had sort of varying attributes to start with. And I actually had a lot of fun with it. Like in the GameCube, the graphics I thought were pretty decent considering the GameCube didn't have sort of the best graphics, a la Nintendo in general.
It's
It was a
always been
decent
this way.
game though. It was a decent sort of like decent RPG. Uh, I don't you couldn't have like parties and stuff, and it was very linear. You couldn't. There was no exploring stuff. You weren't really going off the beaten path.
So we obviously podcast listeners, we haven't had a guest on yet. One of our goals for this next year, the next saga of our
It
Video
is.
Game Vibes podcast. But yeah, I mean, in regards to like big names coming on the pod and stuff, that's a good place to have my old boy Gobs on.
Did you? That was funny. Like, and I don't suggest that we do this, but there was a and I found it out through TikTok, of course. There was a podcast. Someone started up a podcast where they basically said in the comments of, I don't know if it was their TikToks or other TikToks, basically said, if anyone knows of a celebrity, I will pay you $300 to get me in contact with them so that they come on the podcast. And it
Oh my
actually
God.
worked, and she ended up having Drake on her podcast.
Oh, what's her name? It's not Billy, is it? Or what's
I can't remember
Bobby?
the name.
Is it Bobby?
Might be
No.
Bobby. Yeah. That rings a bell.
She came out of nowhere. I know people are like saying like she's been on TikTok for a while and she's been grinding and that's why she's famous now, but I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. Jax, I did have one more point that I want to bring up before we
Yeah.
finish, if that's okay, unless you had something big to bring
No,
up.
I've not got anything else, man. Go for
I
it.
forgot, but I remembered midway through the podcast episode. One of the reasons why last weekend was maybe the best weekend of the summer for me. I was playing games late at night, and I was in the mood, and I just booted up Cyberpunk, and I beat Cyberpunk.
Hey.
And I was like, I feel like shooting some guys. I'll boot up Cyberpunk, maybe play for an hour or so. And I realized I was like 2 missions from the end game, and I was like, what the heck? I didn't know I was that close to it. And I did it. I'm very
You
excited.
watched the sunrise on Night City. It's a beautiful ending.
Yeah, I think there's 5. Wait. Are you reading my achievements? Is that what I got?
No, I just,
Okay.
in my head, I just assumed that there are a number of endings, to be fair.
There's like 6 endings. I got the what's it called? The one ending with my mind's blanking right now. The guys in the desert, the nomad ending.
Same.
Same? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was honestly, it was really emotional for me. I don't know why, but it hit deep. I blame Edge Runners, to be honest.
I was just about to say, after Edge Runners, man.
I was so confused. Like, they're not the same, but there's a lot of similarities to their ending versus Edge Runners.
No, you just kind of feel it, and obviously, just it's cyberpunk, so you're naturally gonna, in your head, like, think about like Edge Runners and the feelings you have that relate to that, because it's the same world.
Yeah,
it is emotional, and like, God, Edge Runner's done a great job. Oh God, that show, man. I would always say, we brought this up a long time ago, it's like Arcane was a better show, but I would always prefer Edge Runners. It was because of how emotional it made me.
I don't know anymore. I don't want to think about either of them.
They got big DLC coming as well.
For Edge Runners?
Yeah.
I mean, not Edge Runners, for Cyberpunk?
For Cyberpunk. It's got Idris Elba. He's sort of the...
Oh, yeah, I knew about that. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more when it comes out. For sure.
I'll definitely play that, for sure.
Yeah. But I think we've hit the limit on our pod today.
We have. I must admit, when you suggested we do another vibin out, I was a bit like, I don't know, man.
We've got so much to talk about.
We have so much to talk about.
Lots to talk about here.
Do you know what is funny, right? I in my head, when you were like, last week was like last weekend was the best week ever, and I was like, is he gonna say like that he's gonna be a dad, or like he proposed? But I was like, you have a wife, so that doesn't work. You're like, no, I beat Cyberpunk.
I beat Cyberpunk.
I love
One Piece, a very important episode happened.
Year 5.
It was a good week. It was a good week. But ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the pod today, please remember to rate us 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit that like button. Go to each of our individual channels and subscribe as well. Mostly mine, so I can catch up to Jax and sub count.
Mostly mine, because it's dying, I'm pretty sure.
Mine's dying too. But maybe not. We'll see. We appreciate you for listening. And Jax, why don't you sign us off with advice or just saying hi to someone? Say hi to someone you love, Jax. Say hi to someone.
Wait. Where's the list? I know I have it somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, he has a pre-written list in regards to sign-offs. This is the end of the show where I pressured Jax one episode.
Where is it?
To give us a sign-off, and he wasn't expecting it. And now, in classic Jax fashion, he has prepared a list just for this moment.
I'm trying to find the list. I'm trying to find the list.
Video games.
Right,
yes.
don't worry, I'll edit in this one, so I should cut all this out. That's fine. Where is the list?
Oh
my god, it's on a notepad. It's not on OneDrive. Oh my god. Right, okay, yeah.
Okay.
It's a Zelda.
Okay, it's a Zelda.
Twilight Princess.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, a sword wields no strength unless the hands that hold the sword has courage. And I want you guys to remember that.
And that's why Baldur's Gate 3
you are cutting Ganon in half, man. There it is. Look. This sword. I have courage. I'm holding up my plastic
Goodbye.
master sword for you guys.